So Trump decided to send Pompeo to Afghanistan to meet with Abdul, and he freed Abdul from prison along with 5,000 of his high ranking lieutenants. And Pompeo pushed out the Afghan president out of power, the American lenient Afghan president, because Trump wanted to control the Tajikistan pipeline that runs through Afghanistan and feeds energy into India. And they wanted to use ExxonMobil wanted to use that pipeline not to only feed energy into India but into China. So for the love of money, Trump decided to desecrate 9/11. He gave the dual rule. Asa Rahiri, I believe, was in Yemen hiding out, but after Abdul was placed into power, his lieutenants pulled Asa Rahiri right back into the Afghan government. And the CIA tracked him down within the Biden administration, and they killed him. But it was Trump that chaotically destroyed the American Afghan government, the American coalition Afghan government. Uh, so Trump undermined the American alliance with Afghan. 20 years went down the drain because of Trump. 20 years. And so I apologize for the background noise. Um, yeah, Trump, because you got to understand, ExxonMobil, Trump was doing the bidding of the boards of Exxon interests in Russia, and they wanted to run a pipeline that floods Russian energy through Afghanistan. So for that reason, they needed. This is how Trump was thinking about it. He wanted to get right to the point of it and fork over the governance of Afghanistan to Abdul, just as long as Abdul promised not to terrorize those pipelines, because it was too lucrative for Exxon to control energy flowing into India and into China. And so, for that reason, uh, when Biden stepped into the administration, it was already chaotic. The situation was already out of control. The Taliban, the first moment they got out of jail, Abdul with his 5,000 of his lieutenants, they started ransacking provinces leading up to Kabul. And then they overthrew the government, and the president of Afghanistan had to flee for his life because Pompeo pushed out uh, his his uh, his presidency to appoint Abdul, because Trump ordered Pompeo to give the reins over to Abdul and 5,000 of his strongest, closest lieutenants. So Al Karahiwi, I believe, was somewhere in Yemen, but I believe that soon as Trump gave over the rule to the Taliban, that Afghanistan will become a haven for Al Qaeda. And I was right. Al Karahiwi got sucked right back into the vacuum of Afghanistan. And if it wasn't for Biden and the CIA tracking him down and killing him, but that all had to do with Trump fiasco for the love of oil to desecrate not only the day of 9/11 as a president, to let that go for his snake oil remedies just to profiteer with Exxon is to me is a desecration to 9/11. And also here we got pulled into the vacuum, right back into Afghanistan, and they were planning to pick up where they left off as far as the Taliban and Al Qaeda was concerned. So I blame Trump rolling out the red carpet for Abdul. I blame Trump for displacing the Afghan president at the time, for undermining the Afghan government, for abandoning the 20 years of leaders that fought to liberate themselves from the Taliban. Trump did all that because he just wanted a quick remedy to his pipelines that was meant to fuel energy into the two heavily populated countries, India and China. It was too lucrative and tempting for Trump and ExxonMobil. And Trump is a snake's oil remedy of a venomous snake. And the first uh, initiative that he wanted to do was to put a dude back into power. And the CIA knew better. The CIA knew that was a mistake. That what Trump was doing, it was a mistake to lay down with the Taliban. And like I said, Al Zawahiri probably was somewhere in Yemen. And as soon as you gotta understand, when Abdul was put into power because of Trump, they immediately started annexing territory in Afghanistan. And by the time Trump was forced out of the White House, Abdul had Kabul surrounded. That was the last stand. Was the president of Afghanistan having to flee for his life, and the Taliban ransacked Afghanistan. So by the time President Biden was sworn into office, it was already too late. But at least the CIA and President Biden realized what Trump did, and they were able to track the whereabouts of al Zawahiri and kill al Zawahiri. But just because al Zawahiri got killed, that doesn't mean that the Taliban would not give refuge and to Al Qaeda again. You gotta understand, al Zawahiri wasn't in Afghanistan, but when Abdul got freed from jail, from prison, and 5,000 of his lieutenants, they sucked up al Zawahiri right back into their into their sanctuary for Al Qaeda. Abdul was killed. Excuse me. Al Zawahiri was killed in a high-ranking Taliban lieutenant government house. So a representative of the Taliban, high-ranking, that's where al Zawahiri was staying when he was killed. So Trump said, we never got down to the bottom of 9/11. At his golf course, he said that. And then Mastriano, the candidate that's running for governorship of Pennsylvania, he had the gall to say that Trump was one of the biggest heroes in 9/11. He said that in Pennsylvania. Trump said that, well, excuse me, Mastriano said that to Trump while he was doing a rally in Pennsylvania. That there's never been that Trump was one of the biggest heroes for 9/11. And because supposedly Trump was there, this is what Trump says, that he was there helping out the fire people, that he was there at 9/11 helping out the police officers, like volunteering to dig in the rebels, and that's why Mastriano said that Trump was the biggest hero of 9/11. To me, it outrages me. It infuriates me when this venomous snake that is willing to lay down with the Taliban and give, knowing that the CIA would have advised them differently, that it was wrong to do that, knowing that the Taliban is tied hip to hip with Al Qaeda, but Trump didn't want to listen. He only had a few months in office before he was running for the second term, so he wanted a quick remedy. And so he wanted to roll out the carpet and offer Abdul to invite Abdul to the White House. He wanted a quick remedy, this snake soilsman that's Trump. And He sent Pompeo on State Department visits to Afghanistan just to prop up Abdul. And the president of Afghanistan uh, that was had to flee for his life. He says that Trump never wanted to include him because the president of Afghanistan, didn't want nothing to do with the Taliban. The president of Afghanistan thought that Trump was it was a wrong idea to negotiate with the Taliban, and it was a wrong idea to give rule of Afghanistan to the Taliban. So I don't think Trump supporters are very educated when it comes to his rallies. The people that go to his rallies, I don't think they're really educated. They don't have these elephants, if you will, don't have long memories. As registered Republicans, these Trumpocrats that loves to foment over Trump at his stadium rallies don't realize the chaotic leader that they're supporting. This venomous snake oil con artist that we called J. Donald Trump. But Trump wanted to make this deal happen. The months, his last months in White House, he wanted these deals to come through, and the only illogical, I call it, thought that he had was to lay down with Abdul. And like I said, Al-Sakar Rahibi probably was somewhere in Yemen, and soon as Abdul took over the government, they ushered him in. The Taliban ushered him in back to the Afghan government. And for Trump to say we never got down to the bottom of 9/11 at his golf resort, when the family members of 9/11 were standing outside of Mar-a-Lago protesting for their lost ones in the Twin Towers, and for Trump to say playing golf we never got down to the bottom of it, like he never had even heard of the 9/11 report, it's atrocious to me. This party is totally gone berserk to think that Trump is presidential material for 2024 with Lindsey Graham's and fake, flaky representatives like Ted Cruz, Lindsey, McCarthy, to not understand what's going on behind the scenes and not to be honest with the public, for me, is atrocious. And they all need to be replaced as politicians. It's atrocious to think that they gave refuge to Abdul, to think that they displaced the Afghan president and appointed Abdul the ruler. To think that Al-Sakar Rahiri, because of it, was sucked right back into the void, the vacuum, right back into Afghanistan, in the house of high-ranking Taliban leaders. But then Trump likes to blame Biden for the fiasco of Afghanistan, which is atrocious for him to even suggest that Biden had anything to do with the fiasco. And Biden inherited Trump's Abdul fiasco. And Trump doesn't like to admit it, that he did it for the love of ExxonMobil. That he did it for him to profiteer. Because these oil companies, they launder money into Trump real estate endeavors through banking shareholdings of their savings accounts throughout banks in the world. That's how they launder money into the Trump real estate endeavors. That's why Trump is doing it. That's what he had intended to do in this 2016 with Rex Tillerson and Carl Icahn. The quid pro quo by Carl Icahn buying out the Taj Mahal to get Trump alleviated uh, debt obligations to the Taj Mahal. So by him buying out the bankrupt casino, Trump was alleviated with debt obligations to the Taj Mahal. These people are just crony uh, business racketeers. And for me, I'm working on technology to detect radiations and dirty bombs and things like that. With because after 9/11, I got caught up as a scientist to develop technologies to defend the world against nuclear weapons and nuclear dirty bombs. And for Trump to not admit and fess up to what he did in Afghanistan for the love of Exxon, knowing that al Rahiri was pulled into the vacuum, meaning Al Qaeda, Trump gave over Afghanistan on a silver platter to Al Qaeda and the leaders of the Taliban, and then desecrate the family members of 9/11 at his golf course to say that to insinuate that we never got down to the bottom of 9/11, to me was appalling. You know, Trump at his rallies has a story. Take me in, oh tender woman, take me in. Take me in, oh tender woman, take me in, says Trump, the venomous snake. That's what it reminds me of snake soils men, of venomous snake soils men. That says to the American people, take me in, oh tender woman, take me in, as far as Lady Liberty is concerned. Take me in, oh tender woman, take me in, as far as Lady Justice is concerned. Take me in, tender woman, take me in. You should have known I was a venomous snake before you took me in. So it reminds me of that Trump makes as a snake soils men for special interests of Exxon. It makes me think of Rockefeller's father as a scoundrel, as a cheat, as a swindler. We should have known better before we took this venomous snake in.